Welcome back to another episode of the Nairobian podcast. Na kama kawa na chill na boys wangu Mwas.
Mimi hapa hivi.
Na leo tena tuko joined na beshte yetu. I think tumuite Afro
HUJUI
now.
Yes, I'm a friend of the pod. Yay.
Aileen, say hi to people.
Hi.
You might want to introduce yourself.
How do I introduce myself?
How you introduce yourself to people?
So
how have you been introducing yourself?
all right. So hi, my name is Aileen. I am your neighborhood Oreo. You know, black on the outside, white on the inside. I've now owned it. It's fine. I've recently gone through a breakup, hence why my hair is blue. And by breakup, I mean I got fired. So here we are with blue hair. With blue hair, I've decided,
a lot of us thought we had a chance now, and hey, you almost dove in.
New me, new hair, new everything. And that's me. Yeah.
Nice.
What's new hair, new everything? What's the other everything?
I guess I have a new attitude towards life.
It's a new year or
no, I'm literally just trying to figure out what works for me this year. Instead of trying to make other people happy, trying to, make my boss happy, my parents, my brother, my everyone. It's like, nah, what do I want to do this year?
It's all about you now.
Yeah, let me figure it out, and then I'll help you guys.
Because it's a new year. The last episode we were discussing with Mwas, do you usually set goals or are you just wing it through a year?
I usually wing it. Like, I don't like setting goals because at the end of the year, I don't want those goals to laugh at me. Like, I've reached 2023 December 31st, and it's like, oh, you haven't, gotten those abs. You haven't been able to crush a watermelon between your thighs. You haven't, I don't know, jumped off KICC building doing bungee jumping. Like, no, it's good. So I just wing it. I figure out what by February I'll figure out what I want to do, but I will not make any goals.
Oh, so you don't have goals for 2020?
I think what I've been doing this year is, instead of having something I want to do, I have a list of things I want to stop doing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like things like second guessing myself, constantly criticizing myself unfairly, not really maintaining my relationships, just kind of like letting them fall to the wayside. Those are things I want to stop. What about you guys? What are things you want to do or things you want to stop?
I don't know. I think I still want to do stuff. I don't have things that I think I haven't developed bad habits. I just want to improve the ones that I have or the ones that I'm trying to do. So I don't have something that I don't want to do, but I have things that I want to do.
Okay, good.
Or be good at.
And you, Mwas?
For me, it's vices. I just want to stop some vices. And one of them was alcohol. And I even told Kish, I just want to stop consuming alcohol. I do take it from time to time, but that's something I've been trying to just stop. And I'm also trying to say yes a lot more.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Because people who know me, they know me and my love relationship with the word no. You have to go somewhere, no, I'm into keeping to myself. I don't like going out and all that. So I'm maybe trying to be more outgoing, say yes a little bit more and see how that goes. But like I said to Kish last week, I'm not into resolutions as well. I'm like, at any point of the year, if I feel like I want to start something or do something, I just start at that point, not saying I'll wait until January 1st or whatever. So yeah, that's my plan for the year. But before we even go too far, Nairobian podcast, we meet here every week and we say si tumeona, tumesikia, tumesoma na vitu zimetubamba. So the last 2 or so weeks, something came out from Kenya Methodist University, I think. And they were talking about how they want to institute a dress code in that school. They want women not to wear tumbo cuts, I think, bare backs. For jamas like Kish, like wearing vests, no wearing vests that expose
Wait a minute. You wear vests?
No,
not here in the podcast, but if you hang around him, you'll know. See, he wears shorts so that you can see the. So that school, they're like, no, you have to make sure that this address code you have to adhere to. Guys, no dreadlocks. Look at it. It's a short, yeah. It's a short. So
in
this
my
guy,
school, I wouldn't be allowed to wear this.
That's the right size of a short. A short should be a short.
Yeah, but
Like the name is a short.
Yeah,
But
but
this is
like,
short,
this
short.
is a
It's a
short,
short,
There's no short. It's a short.
I'm seeing so much thigh though.
But that's what shorts are supposed to do.
But like I remember in high school, like if I was to wear a short this short, I'd be told I have to. It's too short.
there's an issue. Yeah.
Thank God you're not in high school right now.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's cool. They have this dress code. They're instituting. Now some people are saying it's unreasonable because these are adults. You're telling them you can't have dreadlocks, you can't wear tumbo cuts and bare backs and all those other nonsense. But I also see why they're doing it, and I kind of agree with it, but I'll throw it to you guys first, and then we can have this discussion. And because I'm a hospitable guy, I'm a good guy, I'll go with ladies first. Aileen, what's your view and your opinion on this whole KeMU dress code thing?
I mean, having had a look at the dress code, like the one thing I disagree with is the fact that you're telling like men, like you can't have dreadlocks, you can't have earrings, because like I know a number of men who work in the professional industry that have dreadlocks, and they're well kept, they're fine, they're perfect. It just seems weird to tell a guy that like you can't have dreadlocks, but why? Like what is your reasoning behind it? Number one. Number two, everyone is complaining about KeMU, but equally you have Strathmore that also has these exact same guidelines, right? Like I know, like everyone that's ever been to Strath complains that it is a nightmare to meet their dress code, but everyone's just kind of accepted it. So
people still enroll.
Yeah. So does that mean that we should allow Strathmore to do what they want to do and then not KeMU, or is Strathmore wrong at the very beginning, from the very outset, or what? I mean, those are my thoughts right now.
I think this was highlighted because they are trying to develop this new culture of dress code, but people are not happy with Strath also. But I think it was highlighted because it's a new thing happening to KeMU. It's not that we've accepted Strathmore's and now we are trying to fight all the KeMU stuff. My opinion is, I think every institution has its own rules and regulation which people should follow, but I don't think it's fair to like put them at a level of university. You shouldn't do these things for primary, for high schools. I think it's okay
But why not
to have this kind of rules, because you want to bring people together, make them like be at least
like
equal,
uniform,
in a uniform. But I think for higher learning institutions, I think you shouldn't be strict on dress code, because society have different people. Like you have musicians, you have people doing artists, you have all these different courses, and all different courses they have like different personalities developing in people. Like if I'm a musician, my personality won't be same, or my dress code won't be same with somebody doing accounting or architect or something. So we should let these people like grow in their fields. Like if, let's say I'm a musician, I'm an artist, I'm doing a course in KeMU, I should feel like I don't need to dress as a lawyer going to court or something. Let people have freedom of choice in
their dressing. Actually do agree with what you guys have said, but I'll side with the school for the same reason, because I also was thinking of Strathmore and how they have a dress code, and culture has to start somewhere, but some practices have to start somewhere. So the school, maybe they saw this as a problem, now they have to start from now going forward. What I would really request from the school is, maybe there are several guys in school already with dreadlocks, so instead of telling them to cut down the dreadlocks, I don't know the rule right now, but maybe say from 2025,
like new admissions.
Yes, from 2025, people coming in, you need to have a particular look. Now when you say people have different personalities, so people should wear differently, I agree with that. But also, if you look at the police or the discipline forces, they have two types of uniforms. They have the ceremonial, and then they have the one that they go to the field with.
Every day,
So in school, let everyone dress the same. Then once you're done with school, you can wear whatever you want to wear. Back in the day, we used to have 8-4-4. So it means the 4 of university is still part of the core learning, core curriculum, whatever you want to say. So if primary and high school are supposed to dress a particular way, then it's not so far-fetched to say that also university, they should dress a particular way, especially if you're doing the first 4 course. It's 8-4-4. So let it be applied.
The difference is in colleges or universities, people are supposed to learn, are supposed to get how their field is. You see? Let's say I wanted to become a lawyer, I should start dressing as a lawyer per se, or start behaving as a lawyer when I get to campus, because I get to learn this is how this from here I go to the field directly. So from here is when I'll start to start behaving as a lawyer per se.
Unfortunately, I disagree. But let me explain first, why I understand why KeMU and Strathmore have these rules, right? Because in the professional workspace, you're supposed to dress a certain way, right? So the whole, I can understand you saying the reason why we have these guidelines is to prepare you for the actual working world. Having said that, I will also say that the working world is changing, right? You no longer need to go to work in the 3-piece suit. As a woman, I no longer need to be in heels and a proper dress to show up in the office, right? And I think that the places that are teaching the next generation of workers are not quick to responding to that change. Number one. Number two, I'm in as much as I agree with what you're saying, and that the whole, because I did study law, and the whole point of going to university is to prepare you not only intellectually but also mentally and psychologically for this career, which means preparing you to dress a certain way every single day. I will say this: throughout the 3 years of my degree, I did not dress like a lawyer once. Routinely, I showed up, and full disclosure, right now I am not a lawyer. Maybe that's why.
You're a lawyer, but you're not practicing.
I'm not an advocate. I'm not an advocate. Maybe if I dressed like an advocate, I would be an advocate today. Who knows? But I routinely showed up in outfits that made me comfortable to learn, not was trying to project a certain image. And I feel that's the point of university. University is a time for you to explore not only who you are, but who you want to be before you go out into the professional world and you're kind of molded into something else again. That's the whole point of uni. It's special.
No, for this reason, I used to work somewhere where you are told dress up until you're told to dress down. Let people tell you to dress down. If I go to driving school right now, 99% of vehicles on our roads, they are automatic. But when you go to driving school, you're prepared the hard way, so
manual.
to speak. It's manual. So go to school, even if you want to be a musician or whatever, wear that suit, and so that when you're going for those corporate meetings, for example, when you're supposed when you have to dress in a particular way, it's not weird, it's not awkward, because some people, you go to some organizations, they're we don't want dreadlocks here, we don't want such and such. You already know by the way, not everyone is very accepting of the life I'm living. So the school, maybe some things they can ease up on, and they do have a student union, so I guess they'll also have to talk this out, do whatever and agree. But surface level, I agree with those rules. I'm going to school to learn. Imagine sitting there and you're seeing a Chile, the whole back is out, she's doing some other things, and in campus you're still, the hormones are not done, whatever. But is it not your responsibility as a person who is attracted to me to keep your attraction in check? Where am I wrong though? Where am I wrong? Every single one of us are constantly confronted with people who we find physically attractive every single day. But we don't pounce on them. It's true,
no matter what they're wearing, we don't pounce on them.
But the Bible says
that you don't go
do not tempt. No, even God said, don't tempt Jesus with all his superhuman powers, whatever. He even told Satan, don't tempt me. Satan told him, jump off and God will save you. Hey, do not try him, don't tempt him. So
I shouldn't try you.
I mean, we're going there to learn, Be comfortable. I'm all about you being comfortable, being yourself, but can you also have consideration and say, but these guys also
fine.
They need to learn.
Imagine the lecturers are just talking. I'm like,
as much as the honors is on them to control how they're supposed to feel, how you're with your dressing.
So if I was to say right now, Kish, Your shorts are distracting me from recording this podcast. I feel like I cannot
Aileen
continue.
just going there.
You know,
Would you mind please changing? Because like they're super distracting. I'm seeing a lot of thigh.
I don't know, cause it's a different
How is
scenario.
it
Cause
different?
this is my podcast. This is not school. This is not Strathmore KeMU. So I'll tell you, this is NairoBEERns and F you.
You don't even want to swear.
He's nice like that.
Yeah.
He's nice like that. But yeah, so that's what's going on. We will wait and see in the coming days what they decide.
True.
But if you're planning to go to KeMU, if you're in high school right now, or
Just be aware of what the dress code is.
if your name is Karevi and you want to go to KeMU, just shave your dread.
Shave your dread.
Just know that in advance. Don't go there and then be shocked. Nah.
Another thing I think imeshika nare mtandao ni the death of, I think he or she, I don't know.
Edwin Chilobah, I think you want to talk about.
I don't know the pronouns, so I don't.
No, you're not there yet. Lucky for us, you're not there yet. So
Lucky.
So it's a he. Yeah, lucky for
So
us.
he I think he was a LGBTQ
fashion designer
or advocate or
Both.
so he was murdered, I think in Eldoret.
Yes.
I think wase walikuwa wameshika nare. He's been trending for quite some time now, and I wanted us to talk about it. And Aileen, I saw you posted you wanted us to sign some petition.
It's the second time.
So the first time it happened, I think, was last 2021 with Sheila Lumumba or Lubumba or something like that. Like she was murdered in either April or August. And the way the case was handled was so, in my mind, disrespectful. Like it showed such a disrespect for the dead and their life that they lived simply because you disagreed with their lifestyle. That with Edwin Chilobah, the petition that I was asking people to sign was to basically get the cops to treat it seriously. Like I remember in the beginning, we all thought it was a homophobic attack, and then the story came out that it was actually like a lover's quarrel, right? Be that as it may, still treat it seriously. Like don't think that it's because it's two guys who are fighting that this is something that we don't have to take seriously. This was an instance of domestic abuse gone wrong. If that's what it was, treat it as such. Take it very seriously.
So will you champion for police treating all the cases, or just for LGBTQ they need to treat it serious, or all the cases, all of the murder cases that are?
Preferably, I would like every single murder case to be taken seriously. Like imagine if you were killed and the cops were joking on your case. Like wouldn't you want to haunt their fucking ass? Wouldn't you want to be like...
I think why it brought about debate, because people started showing like signs like it was a hate crime done towards the LGBTQ community. So is it that you guys just, not you, I'm not saying that you are in that community, or guys get excited when they hear like things like this happen? Because murders happen every single time in the country. There are people being murdered. We've never seen you post something
a petition,
about doing a petition, but because of this community, we feel that we need to do like a petition or...
Yeah, because the reason I feel the way that I do is because I know that it's difficult, and I'm going to say the word queer to mean like everyone that's like lesbian, gay, trans, asexual. Like it just defines the community.
They wouldn't want you to
just say LGBTQ.
Just say LGBTQ,
so like on
queer, not
on the HUJUI podcast, like I did an episode on like queer in pre-colonial Africa, and I talked about why I was using the word queer, because it perfectly describes, like if you look at what it is to be lesbian, gay, trans, all these things, they all come from like Western perspective, whereas queer, it just basically means that you're not like it's different from the straight norm, right? You're just queer, right?
But they have the Q.
Yeah, I mean, to be queer is not the same thing as to be lesbian, but like I've explained why I'm going to use that term, right? Okay. So I think the reason why I posted that petition is because to be queer in Kenya is not easy, right? Like, I can understand why somebody who is in the closet would not want to come out. Your family might not accept you. You might lose your job. You might lose your home, your housing. The doctors might not want to treat you. Your community will turn against you. Like, there's so much to lose. And then for those that do come out of the closet and are living their most authentic selves, they're constantly put under attack. Like, people are looking at them when they go out. People are constantly making comments. Many of them are derogatory. So when the news of the murder broke out, my initial reaction was, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody unfortunately attacked this poor man because of who he was and how he chose to live his life. That's and I worked on that assumption until I had new information.
Then there's also, I think, members of parliament, they've been tweeting about it not being legal in Kenya, and the community should be arrested and put in jail, because as Africans or as Kenyans, as Africans, as Christians, Muslims, or we don't allow such stuff. So what do you feel about these comments from?
Because Chris, our friend over here, quoted the Bible, allow me to do the same. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. For me, I want everyone to live. I want everyone to be happy. Not everyone will be, but I'd prefer that everyone is happy, everyone gets to live their own life, their own way. But also there's this thing, Ben Shapiro, I'll quote him, he says it's called the face tattoo syndrome, where you put on a face tattoo, then you walk around and people look at that face tattoo, and when they look at you, you ask them, what are you looking at? But clearly, you've put it there so that you can look at it. You've not put it on your back where it's hidden. It's clearly
same as the bareback thing.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So
you've given them something to stare
at.
Look, if backs turn you on, backs turn you on. I'm not going to confront the kinks that God has given you. Okay, let's just.
Yeah. So with regards to that, when you say some people from that community feel attacked when people are staring at them, it's because some of them, how they dress, how they carry themselves, it's not quote unquote normal to us. So you're like, hey, is that a guy? Is that a Chile? Whatever. So they start. Now, are there some homophobic Kenyans in this society?
Yeah.
Yes, there are. There are bad people everywhere in this world. But then there are also some people who just want to live their own life. They don't want to be preached to about things that they don't believe in or they don't want to. Maybe I wake up in the morning, I'm not for that. I'm not saying kill them. I'm just saying leave them, but then for them also to leave me.
Then why don't you say that? Like even with Ben Shapiro talking about the face tattoo syndrome or whatever it is that he said. Why if for example, I have blue hair, which means that people look at me all the time now, right?
We see KeMU and say, you won't study there.
You're not going to school.
But that doesn't mean that you get to treat me like shit because of it. That doesn't give you the justification to treat me as less than.
But I think Mwas is saying, in a society, yes, you don't expect people to give you shit about it, but there are people who will give you shit.
Who still give me shit, and then and in response to those people giving me shit, I expect people who disagree with that to be like, hey, don't do that, or people who are like, I don't care, but live and let live, to also say, guys, live and let live.
It's easy to say that, but then again, I'm attacking that notion by saying this. I want those people to be themselves, but when they're talking, they abuse me, they lump me in with everyone else. They say these straight people in this country are all useless, they're all whatever. Some like,
they don't say straight, they say people in this country.
This society is so intolerant. I'm like, no, I've not done anything to you. So when I'm talking to, let me use you, Aileen. When I'm talking to you, I'm supposed to judge you by you, not say all women or whatever. My experience with women, I'm not supposed to bring that to you, right? But when some people from that community interact with straight people who are nasty, because they're nasty people are everywhere, you take that and say everyone else is like that. So I'm like, you know what? I feel bad for you, but you're attacking me. Why should I even care? I'm done
like,
with you.
We all do that, right? Like you okay. You know what? The point I was gonna make is that like women have one, or it's not even one, but okay, actually this is a really good point. Okay, perfect.
LGBTQ.
Wait, as an analogy, simply because the reason why women so confidently say with their chest that men are trash is not because you've interacted with one guy who's trash or two guys or 3 or 4 or 5 men. It's that in every single man we have seen something in them that gives us pause. That means that, like, when push comes to shove, we don't know if we can trust you. And the list of men that we have in our lives that we can trust, or the people that, like, we are, you know, giving us this shit that we can trust, is like very, very slow, very little. And I'm not a member of the queer community, but I can imagine it's something similar, right?
I mean, your hair was kind of giving me some strange vibe. I'm just saying.
You know what? I've wanted blue hair since I was 16 for no other reason than blue is one of my favorite colors. Nice. After this color dies because it's semi-permanent, I'm going to get purple. And after purple, I'll get pink, and then I'll get red. Because why
that's
not?
like the rainbow.
Yes, why not? It's fun.
Okay.
It's fun. Like,
have fun. Have fun. Me, I'm not fighting
Thank you.
What I'm saying is that okay, because she brought this up, we'll deviate for a quick second, then we'll go back. When women say men are trash, and some men are trash, that's true. Some women are trash. That's just the society we live in.
There's trash people
everywhere.
And then there's also trash that's just trash.
Yeah.
You a Chile will be dating a guy, then that one guy does her wrong. She doesn't have experience with men. It's just this one person.
No. Like even the point, like even when I was making the point that even what I said at that time was, it's not just one guy, right? It's experience after experience after experience. So each one,
you've met
some men who are trash. Like each one corroborating one thing.
You've said some.
Is it because men are trash or they're just trash people?
No, I think every single person has.
I'm sure you've met trash women. I'm sure
I've met trash women, I've met trash men, but every single person is definitely capable of trashy behavior, right? Yeah. It's just that unfortunately, when men are trash, they feed into the system that makes me feel like shit. Right? Like, I remember this one time I was in a relationship, right? And I was telling my partner, hey, don't look at me like that. Both of you. Are you looking at each other? I saw that. I saw that. I saw that look. I saw that look.
Because we are being accused of being trash.
No.
There's nothing wrong about trash.
No.
Just on the other trash.
Are you going to be what's called trash? Let's recycle this trash, you know?
We should recycle this trash. I remember I was dating this guy and I was trying to figure out my antidepressants. It was like brand new into that mental health journey, and I ended up taking some
interesting.
Yeah, I ended up taking some meds that made me manic. Like everything was just too intense and it just felt wrong. And when I brought it up with my partner, his initial response was to dismiss me entirely, right? And I kept bringing it up with the men in my life, and like only one of them was like, okay, like I'm gonna take you seriously.
The guy dismissed you because of your mental health issues?
No, I think here's the thing, I don't know why he dismissed me, right? But
he didn't want a psycho in his life.
Psycho.
I'm just putting it out, maybe because you present everybody. If you go and present yourself with mental issues to somebody and you're taking medicine,
then why weren't you honest enough with me to be like, you know what, look, I can't handle it?
Maybe that's just being...
No.
Just finish your story first,
Fine. It was like literally only one of my male friends took me at my word and took me seriously, right? Yeah. It's not whether or not you think I'm being psycho. You need to recognize that what I'm feeling feels real for me, even if it's not something that you understand.
True.
And only one man in my life was able to be like, yeah, I may not understand what you're going through, but it's legitimate to you. So if this medicine isn't working for you, find something else, right? Because every other person was telling me like, oh, don't worry, like it'll take some time. And like this guy was like, no, if right now it's not working and it's supposed to take this, and this, go back to your doctor. It's fine, right? And that's just one experience, right? But
where men were being trash
for that one particular issue, right?
Yeah.
But there are many little signs in different conversations that I've had with some of my male friends where it's like, God forbid something happens to me. Can I trust you to have my back? So and I'm not sure if the answer is yes.
Even us, we've had conversation where you think like, oh, this guy.
Actually, rather surprisingly, with the two of you, it goes back and forth.
So we are trash.
So we are trash, then we are
Sometimes
good.
No,
we get recycled.
We are plastic.
Listen. I will never put you guys in the recycling bin. I will always try to reuse you guys
So men
because
are
you're my
trash,
favorite kind of trash.
My
You're
God.
reusable trash.
My goodness. So the thing with men is, and I understand because men and women are
Very
we are
different. Very different.
how
Yeah.
we deal with things. So they were not wrong when they told you maybe wait a bit, because that's how, if Kish was to come to me a similar problem, it's either I'll abuse him, make light of the issue, or just tell him just wait and see how it goes, because sometimes humor, banter and all that, that's how we deal with things.
But you're not. But how is that listening to him?
Oh, that's better than me telling him, oh my God, don't worry, because now that gets into his head. It's like he starts in sharing or Swahili, you say he starts feeling woye about himself. Because now when you're going through problems, as a man, you don't want woye, because woye now that's pity. Like Kish, but now you can get through it. You just wake up, go to the gym, do something, whatever. He keeps telling me go to the gym.
I get it. Yeah, nobody likes being pitied.
Yes. So when he was talking to you like that, he should have known that you're a Chile, not a guy, and maybe handle you differently. But I don't think that makes him trash, because you said you had a partner. I'd assume you kind of dumped him, or he dumped you, or whatever happened.
We broke up. Yeah,
we broke up.
She dumped him.
I said we broke up. I said what I said.
That's the breakup.
I said what I said.
So let me ask
I said
you this.
we broke up.
I'm going to pry for a second. So you broke up with him. Did you get into another relationship
With a man.
Obviously, with a man.
Immediately thereafter, no, I got into a bunch of situationships. They were just
With
easy.
men?
Yeah,
But men are trash.
With trash man.
Men are trash. Why do you still keep going back to the trash? Why?
She likes.
It's
like a straight.
No. Sometimes I go back to the trash because sometimes the trash knows how to give me orgasms. Right? And as much as it is fun to give yourself an orgasm, there's nothing quite like a shared one.
But these things you can only get them from trash.
From men.
Unfortunately.
From the dump site.
Again, one man's trash or the one woman's trash is another woman's treasure, right? Like I've come to realize. No. Here's the lesson I've had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And it's a lesson that sucks. Men will only quote unquote change for the people, like for somebody that they're in love with. If like unfortunately, if they don't treat you the way that you want to be treated, it has nothing to do with you.
Do they change, or do they just pretend to? Like, do they entirely change, or do they just want to please this person they're with for however much time they will?
Again,
or do they just change?
Again, I don't know. Like the reason I'm
because you said you realized
the reason I said quote unquote change is because I don't think it's change. What I'm trying to say is like a lot of relationships, like you often get the sense as a woman that like a man isn't putting in as much effort as you are, that like especially emotional labor, like you're the one doing all the pushing and the defining the relationship and like trying to get this forward and figuring it all out, like all that fun stuff. And then it took me some time to realize that like a man is only, like it's not just men, anyone is only ever willing to put in that effort if it's something they actually want to pursue and something they want to care about. I mean, it sucks, but unfortunately, if that guy isn't putting in that effort, then he's just not that into you. If that chick isn't putting in that effort, she's just not that into you. And I'm sorry, it's a shitty lesson to learn, but it's a lesson that needs to be learned.
That one is squarely, I'll put that blame squarely on the women.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes.
What?
Men rarely change. What happens with women is women have this notion that they can change people. So right now, Aileen, I'll come to you and I'll tell you, oh, you want a guy who can cook? I can cook. I can do it. I'll be the model guy that you like. But because I'm that, I'm boring. Kish, on the other hand, is a bad boy. He doesn't cook. He's all about takeout and all that nonsense.
Not a bad boy, man.
For purposes of this discussion, you are, yeah?
Okay.
For purposes, so Kiru is everything that you don't like, but you tell yourself, my love will change him. When I'm with him, he'll change. He'll become the model person that I want.
This one thing that you like about him.
Yes.
So you take yourself from a guy who you like. I was even seeing a casket of a guy who a lot of green flags, but then this one guy waving a red
and
flag.
you think you can change him.
You can change him. So that's why women, you put yourself in that situation and then you complain, calling men trash.
Look, I get it. I really do get like why it is that women put ourselves in that situation. I've been thinking about it a lot. Thankfully, for most of my life, I've avoided it. I've avoided
Except that guy who was like,
no. With that guy, it was never a thing of like, oh, I can change you. I can, no. It was like, this is fun. We're going to see how this progresses.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the relationship happened to coincide with like a mental health crisis in my life. And like, he was there. And I expected too much of him that he was not ready to reciprocate. Right? And maybe you guys have seen me grow in real time. Maybe I should have communicated my needs up front. Maybe I should have been a lot more willing to give him the space to be like, you know what, this is not for me, it's not my portion. I can't. Because I mean, nobody ever wants to say to somebody who's in the middle of a crisis, I can't deal with you right now.
So speaking of mental health, because it's something interesting, and we've been talking about it for a number of episodes.
Last year we even had a psychologist.
If would you mind like sharing how like your situation, if you can, or how you dealt with it, or how you, or still, if you're still having it, or what did you do about it?
So I definitely still have it. So what I have is depression and anxiety, and I think they're both quite high functioning, because like when you look at me, you don't think that I'm a person that like has depression and anxiety, but trust me, it's there. If you know the signs.
Was it
diagnosed among
by a professional, or you just
self-diagnosis?
You know, it was diagnosed by a professional after a particularly
a rough time.
A particularly rough time. It was diagnosed, and when I had access to medication, i.e., I was able to afford it. I was on medication, right? In the UK, it cost about £8 to £9 a month, so like 1,500 to 2,000 shillings per month. In Kenya, that same medication costs about 10k a month. So I had to stop taking it when I went off my health insurance. And to deal with it, or rather to better manage my mental health, like what I started doing is exercising a lot more. It really helps clear my mind in the morning, gives me clarity. And I also have recently been starting to journal and like meditate and really unpack my thoughts. But I think the biggest thing that helped me was figuring out like how to love myself. Right? Because I realized that a lot of my issues stemmed from the fact that I hated myself. And I mean, I don't hate myself anymore, but I also don't love myself right now.
So for this journey, for you to getting to realize that you should stop hating, or you should love yourself more. Did the medication help or play a part in it, or just you realizing?
No, the medication is
working out. Or
so. I'm gonna say this based on my personal experience. Like, if you are a person struggling with mental health issues, please go see a doctor. Medication does not work for every single person. The side effects are wild, and it's something you should definitely talk about with your doctor. But for me, the medication was incredible. Like, I finally understood what it felt like to wake up every single morning and not hate yourself, and not want at some point and not want at some point in your day to die, or feel like you're absolute shit, or be constantly worried about things that don't matter. I felt normal. And the second I felt that feeling, I was like, if there are people out there that feel this every single day without medication, how are you not taking over the world? Because it just felt good to not have that little voice in my head constantly telling me that I was shit, constantly telling me that I was doing everything wrong, constantly reminding me of every single fault, every single mistake. And I was able to, without that voice, actually work through my issues and like get some clarity that wasn't clouded by that fucking voice. It sucks.
Let me ask you. Sorry, by the morning.
We've hijacked this conversation. But sorry.
Through mental health. Even me, whatever you've described, I feel the same thing when I drink alcohol.
Oh, sorry.
So if alcohol was my meditation, what's the difference between that and somebody taking drugs or taking bang or something, feeling like whenever they're on this thing, they feel like they are conquering the world. Something you've described, like when you were on medication, you felt like you were doing good. Huh?
Yeah, I just felt good.
What's the difference between the medication and whatever I'm on?
Whenever I'm drunk or I'm high, that voice isn't gone. It's just quiet. And you can tell the difference.
It's oppressed, but
yeah, you can always tell the difference. When I was I feel like I'm not giving a pretty good representation of what it's like to be on medication, because I'm making it seem like it's this fantastic thing when it really varies.
You're high on this.
Yeah, it makes me feel it's making me sound like I was high on the medication when I wasn't. Like I think the medication helped me realize how bad it was and how bad it had been and how bad I let it become. Right? Because all of a sudden, for example, like every single morning I would wake up and I would stress over every little thing about my day, like to the minute detail. I would wake up and I would plan out my day to the second. I would make my calls, like I would do everything like that. And then when I started taking the medicine, I started being able to prioritize and realize like everything that I was stressing about doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Right? Like I'm stressing about, for example, the fact that my boss's daughter doesn't like me. Why does that matter to me? It just gave me enough of a break from that voice to get clarity to then realize, oh, what I'm doing was not healthy. I let it get to this point and that's not good. And it gave me the impetus to actually start making much better choices for my life. That's when I started going to the gym more regularly. I started taking my vegetables, drank a lot less.
I don't agree with you about the vegetables, but
okay, you've just never seen me eat vegetables, okay? But I eat them.
Why is starting taking your vegetables helping you mentally?
Because I just...
It's a placebo thing. When you're eating, if you're eating healthy...
It's not just
but
that.
who
like
says eating vegetables is healthier than eating meat?
It's okay. I still had my meat, but like my diet was basically protein and carbs.
So why did vegetables help your mental health?
Don't engage him. This guy, he loves meat.
True, but I don't feel you are going good. You are going good with no. It's a thing. True, but you are going good. You started working out more. You started loving yourself.
So
but when you brought the veggies,
so the veggies, it could also be a placebo effect, right? Yeah. Like we're constantly told as children, eat your vegetables are what make you healthy and strong and
even
big
adults,
and all
I think vegetarians are shouting this.
You mean vegans? You mean vegans, right? But like it wasn't just that I started eating vegetables, is that because I was eating more vegetables, I was eating less of something else. Right?
Okay.
Right? If you're having more vegetables, what I then started having is less of carbs. And if when your diet is carb heavy, it's quite heavy. Like you feel it. Okay. You're like, ugh. And then when you have vegetables, like...
Can you eat vegetables without carbs?
They do nowadays.
No, but like don't all vegetables have carbs though, like potatoes?
No, for me, carbs. Okay, we've digressed, but for me...
I'm talking about complex carbs then.
For me, when I think of vegetables, I think of cabbage and rice, skuma and ugali.
Sorry, rice?
Nothing else.
No, when they say vegetables, they mean vegetables.
Like broccoli, eggplant, yams, carrots.
So what can you report about your mental health situation right now?
Right now?
Are you in a good place? Will you be in a place where you'll want to tell somebody who's been at where you are what to do? Are you still struggling with it? You're still trying to find out?
So I will never ever be at a place where I want to tell somebody else what to do, because everyone's journey is very different. True, it's informed by your personal circumstances and where those issues came from. What worked for me might not work for you.
So did it work for you? That's what I'm... Is it working for you?
Surprisingly, what made my mental health be a lot better was having a lot more free time. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's just given me a lot more time to realize that, like, the thing that I wanted to do with my life and the way that I was doing it is not the thing that made me happy, is not the thing that best maximized my potential. So it's now giving me the time to figure out what it is that I want to do. But I'm no longer able to afford my medication. But I've also in that time, having lost that access, I've built a support system. I have started to exercise, even eating vegetables. like even when I was taking my medication, the doctor that I was working with, but when I started taking them, the agreement was never that it was going to be long term. There's no problem with that. If taking medication is something that you need to do every single day for the rest of your life, that is fine. Do what you have to do. But when we went into the office and I with the doctor and we were talking about mental health issues, like we decided, you know what, this is something we're going to take for a time, as we also do something called cognitive therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is like talking to somebody and working out your issues and like meditating and doing all those other therapy tools, right? And then when we got to a point where like we could withdraw the medication, because I started on 30 milligrams of citalopram, and after like 6 or 7 months I was down to 10, and then after that we were weaning me off, right? Because it does impact your brain. That's the thing, it does impact your brain chemistry, and when you don't have it anymore, you feel it.
Hey, me, I'm done with this mental health thing. All I know is you've said something that when you went off your meds, you found other things that kind of helped you. And this is the same thing I've been telling Kish, and the psychologist who was here, and Kish has been chongoing me. I look for things, declutter my life.
But you know, like that's the thing that works for you. There are some people with very serious issues that like medication is the only way that they can
that's
move forward with your life.
Kevin told us there's clinical,
and then there's
situational thing or something. For me, if it's clinical, I will
depression.
That one. My hands are up. Go to the doctor. Take whatever medicine you need to take so that your chemicals are balanced. But if it's this other one, situational, that one, me, I'm going to make fun of.
Sometimes it's hard to figure out from what I got from Kevin's explanation. Sometimes it might be situational. You go through things, you treat it as situational, and then it
leads to
clinical.
Yes.
So I think it's just go and see a professional to decide on.
Yeah, because that's what happened to me. It was situational, and then it became.
We were asking about this. I wanted to ask you about this because it's a new thing to us per se. Because me, I haven't seen a therapist. Have you ever seen?
Man, go to therapy. Therapy is great.
Nice time, to be honest.
Have you ever seen a therapist?
Yes.
Good.
Not good.
Wait, what?
The only reason I went to see a therapist is because of the pressure of all the things I've had in society. Oh, go see this. Who hurt you?
When did you see this therapist?
Just during COVID time.
And why did you? Because you said not good. So
no, not good that I went to see. Because I mean, today wasn't the day that I was going to
talk about this.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
It's okay.
Yes, I've been going through, or rather I went through things when I was younger. Just growing up, I was dealing with some things, and I was able to deal with them my own way. But along, like when they're 20 something, then I was watching more American movies. I was interacting with people who are more exposed. So this therapy thing looks very good to me. That's me, not everyone else.
Presented solutions to your problems.
Therapy sounds good. Everyone I know is going for therapy. These big people I know are going for therapy. Maybe I should also go for therapy. That's the only reason I went
this
there.
Podcast thing, Basi, is
therapeutic.
I've never thought that you went to. That's why
I've never wanted to admit to anyone.
I swear
why
right
not?
now that I've never gone to a therapist. You've never gone to a therapist.
Wait, why not?
It's a nice thing that I've known that you watch Friends.
Wait, you watch Friends?
So Friends.
Wait, is this for the first time in your life?
These are new things.
I'm not watching.
These are new things I'm learning from this. I've known him this time, but I've learned. Now I'm learning from the podcast that I learned from the podcast that he's watched Friends.
Not Friends.
Then now today I'm learning
he's been to therapy.
So the therapy thing, I'll say, it's don't be ashamed of it. If you
please don't.
But I don't shout it to the mountaintops that I've been there. It's not something I want. It's not part of my identity. Let me put it there. Because people have taken therapy and it's not their identity.
It doesn't have to be your identity.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just supposed to be like it. You went to therapy. Did you get something reasonable or something?
So, because like the way I think about therapy is like, remember when we all had those wired headphones and then you'd like put them in your pocket and then they all get like tangled up and it would be a fucking nightmare to untangle. Like going to a therapist is like, especially one that you trust and one that like understands your context and one that really gets where you're coming from, is like going to somebody with this tangled up headphone and then they help you unpack it and make it one like flow, like one solid string again. And I hope that was what therapy was like for you.
It wasn't.
I'm sorry.
I'll sit here and say it had nothing to do with the therapist, nothing at all. But whatever I was going through did not need therapy.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'll say. I just went because I felt like, let me just go to
see,
right? To see. Because I went for a couple of sessions and maybe it helped, maybe it did, but after that I'm like, I won't continue. After that I won't continue. I've just done it. It's just a checklist thing.
So is this something that you'll tell me, hey Kish,
No.
because Mimi, I'll come here and say I've never gone to therapy. Is this something that you'll tell me, Kish Bana, try this thing? It might have worked or didn't work for me, but you try it.
So for me, I'll say this. I will not recommend it to you. But if you go for an evaluation and
as
you're
a person
told,
who's gone, like,
yes,
even if you got help or didn't get help,
from my experience, I'm saying from my own experience, I would not
feel you still.
No, I feel like before even going for therapy, the things I was doing were working better for me. There is just like, okay, so tell me, do you eat ugali with skuma? Okay, try with cabbage.
Like they weren't adding value to your life.
It. I'm like, I felt like, whatever you're telling me, I was doing that. Maybe I didn't know because now you've gone to school, you know those things.
You've just
those
given
tools,
me that.
yes. I knew it and I was doing it, but I didn't know. But if you've gone to HUJUI and you've told try therapy and go try it. There's some people like Aileen here, it worked for her. Then there's me who maybe going in, I was cynical and that's why it didn't work. I just here to see.
No. I'm also cynical about therapy. Like part of the reasons why I haven't gone back, despite my desire to go back to therapy, is that I haven't been able to find a therapist or a psychologist that I trust enough to do more than 3 sessions, right? Because the really hard thing about therapy is that you have to be at your most vulnerable to somebody who has the power to call you out on your shit and to do it with the full knowledge of who you are, right? So it hurts even more. So like in that office, like whenever you admit like, hey, I did something bad or like I regressed or I forgot to use one of my tools, they are going to be like, okay, what happened? Like they're going to hold you accountable and it sucks. It's hard. But ultimately, it's worth it if you can find somebody it's worth going through that journey with.
Okay. So let's move away from. I think you guys are lawyers. You're supposed to be knowing these things. People coming to you.
But lawyers are not therapists.
They're not. But
we
know that people come to you and admit stuff or be vulnerable to you, and you'll know better than this. So,
what are you talking about, man?
We know nothing. We know nothing.
You're going to a therapist, telling him or her that you've done this thing, this thing. This is like you're being vulnerable to
someone else.
Yes. I'm relating it to the law stuff in terms of a criminal coming to a client.
Yeah.
A client who's a criminal now.
No, he's a client.
No. You're only a criminal if you are convicted. You're not a criminal yet.
This is my scenario.
Somebody who has done a crime.
Yes. To the scenario. A criminal coming to you, admitting a crime. You're defending somebody who's done crime. He's admitting it to you as his or her lawyer. That yes, I've done this, and you still have to help the guy or
legally, not psychologically.
True, not psychologically, but I'm equating it to in terms of people come to you with problems or being vulnerable to you.
Yeah.
But it's still
you
different.
Should know how these things work.
It's still different because, like in law, there is always a solution. In psychology, I feel like
Just talk.
Yeah, it's not. It's just a lot harder.
They're supposed to talk and lead you to solutions. Okay, so let me.
We move.
Kind of Kevin and then find out.
Yeah, bring Kevin back. Bring Kevin
Since
back.
you guys have,
I feel like we're ill-equipped.
I've had tough mental health situations, and I'm happy. I'm glad to say that you're overcoming your
We're trying.
issues.
I mean, I don't have issues. I had issues.
And I also think the first step is realizing, like, sometimes you may not be able to overcome them. Sometimes you just have to live through them and manage them.
So, Mwas and Aileen,
What they do?
I don't know if you've seen this stuff of gonorrhea being spread, like these stories about gonorrhea being
Super gonorrhea.
Super gonorrhea.
it's called super gonorrhea.
The worst superhero in
Do
the
you
world.
feel? Because for me, my take is, I'm not disputing that maybe there's gonorrhea in the city. There's this super gonorrhea.
Yeah.
But what do you feel about this thing? Because I haven't seen major news stations or major channels or newspapers pick it up. I got it from the Star. Everybody had the heading from the Star. And my history with the Star is I've seen them doing some not so correct headlines. So one of their headlines was that kuna super gonorrhea spreading around Nairobi. Like most people have been found to have gonorrhea. So story yangu ilikuwa ni, do you feel this is the reality? Is there something once they told us about many times to discuss on this podcast about condom shortages in cities where events happen? Sometimes I suspect these people just here to how is it called?
Sensational stories too.
Yeah, sensational stories, and they're just.
It's
okay. Say it in Swahili. It's fine.
They're headings to clickbaiters to their newspapers or to their stories that there is a condom shortage in Kisumu because there is event happening.
Or the one in Kisumu.
As a headline,
as a headline is a nice headline because I'm looking for a story interesting for people to click on, and I can't find stories of a seminar happening in Kisumu, so it just puts
condom shortage.
It's the same thing. Like right now, there's no political stuff that interests people, so they just throw out gonorrhea stuff, maybe quote some studies that 2 hospitals have reported cases of gonorrhea. Do you feel like this is the situation?
Look, what I know about Nairobi has led me to believe the situation is true. The number of people that I have heard about or seen in multiple situationships that I cannot guarantee that like each time those people have sex with like multiple partners, it's done in a safe way. They're like, I just don't know, right? And then I'm also coming from the experience of like having lived abroad for a while where there was a bit of a crisis about like super gonorrhea and chlamydia. Like antibiotics were not working on these STIs, STDs.
Which countries are these?
It was in the UK, I remember. And it was super weird realizing that I could have sex and then get a disease that antibiotics could not cure. Basically turned me off for like a couple of months.
Not
right?
years.
A girl has needs, okay?
I'm not judging. I'm just asking questions. No interviews.
She has needs from this trash.
Hey, look, I said what I said.
So
some trash is reusable, some trash is just
with
not.
all that fear of super gonorrhea, like 1 month, 2 months. No, we'll all die.
No.
At
the end of the day.
Okay, what about you? What do you think then?
Oh, me, I fully believe this thing. Fully believe it because, people in Nairobi are knocking boats left, right, and center. And you see, quoting 2, 3, or 4 hospitals to me is valid because I know we are going to put it on YouTube, and YouTube don't want people saying this word, but there was something that happened in 2020, and a lot of the world has been dealing with that thing. In Kenya, the first person we took what do you say? We took action after the first case was reported. So if you go to a hospital and you test like 5 or 10 people, and like, hey, we've tested 10 people and they have this SG, super gonorrhea. It's time for you guys.
There's nothing like super gonorrhea. It's just gonorrhea.
No, it's super gonorrhea.
You know, even
Or is it super gonorrhea?
It's resistant to antibiotics.
Oh, so that's why it's called
Super gonorrhea.
It's not super because
No.
it's being transmitted.
No, it's super because if you get
it's a different
it,
strain, yeah?
you will die with it. It lives with you.
It's like a different.
Me, I just thought it's super because of the numbers being reported.
Nah, I think it's because of
maybe.
I think the super gonorrhea is like a different strain. Like when someone with HIV and another person with HIV come together, they create a new strain. That's why you are told you can get HIV from someone who has HIV, even if you have it already. So I do believe that people in Nairobi do misbehave, and there's a chance that this could. Yeah, the super gonorrhea thing. So people take care. Me unlike Aileen, I will not wait for a few months. Me, I'll wait until we are done with this thing because I'm a good Christian boy.
So let's not take it lightly as Star reporting for clickbait to one of their stories.
I mean,
either way,
let's take it serious.
Yeah, because what's the harm in taking it seriously? Like, what's the worst that could happen versus what's the worst that could happen if you don't take it seriously?
Just do what you need to do, because there are people
just
who
to be
safe. Be safe. Take all the precautions that are necessary, because if this thing is true, like I think it's true, then I don't take precautions. I get it. I give it to someone else.
And then you pass it on, and you pass it on, and you pass it on. So please get tested.
To our guest Aileen, you recently in Ghana.
Yeah, but dirty December.
Will you want to report that we are different what what's happening here? We might have super gonorrhea, but maybe there's some dirty stuff. There's just normal gonorrhea.
I think.
What type of gonorrhea is in Ghana?
I mean, I can't say. I really don't want the entire. I don't want Ghanaians on Twitter to come for me.
Although you have KOT.
No, KOT is bad.
How's Ghana?
I mean, Ghana was very interesting. Number one, the first thing that struck out to me was just how hot it was. Like, it was unbearable. So much so that it felt like I was looking through the heat. Like you know when you land in Mombasa and it just like even your eyes are like squinting because it's so hot.
It's a sea level thing.
Yeah, like that's what Ghana was like for me. Otherwise, the people were lovely. The cops were interesting. I always used to complain about Kenyan cops, but Ghanaian cops are.
They're different animals.
Interesting, very interesting, very different.
Interestingly bad or good?
Okay, I remember this one. I remember this. We were there. We were in Ghana, and on our way to the beach, we got stopped by cops. Like, you know that random spot check, right? You know in Kenya when you get stopped, they just like check the car, they give you a little bit of trouble, and then let you move on, right? This stop, the cops decided to check our bags, and not only like our bags, they opened our wallets where I kept my pads. They opened every single pocket. They checked everything, and as they were checking, they were also flirting with me. So it was very weird to have somebody go through my private possessions, but then you're flirting with me at the same time.
But that's just good police work.
How is it good police work?
Not the flirting.
Maybe they were just being friendly, but because you're a Kenyan.
You're a Kenyan, you're a foreigner.
If I wanted to marry him, how is that good conversation?
What's wrong with? So you guys always say, "Oh, shoot your shot" and all this. He was there with an East African girl. He's like, "Okay, I've looked through your things."
But
what's wrong with that?
What if? Because I'm saying, maybe they were checking everything from you because everybody is going to Ghana.
What was happening in Ghana? Maybe tell people what was happening
in Ghana. What is this fascination that people have with Ghana? Why did you decide to go to Ghana, not Tanzania?
Okay. So let me answer your first question about like why they were checking all our shit. When we asked our cab driver about it, they were like, "Oh, these guys know you're foreigners, and they thought that you guys might have drugs on you." And we were like,
"Good police work."
How stupid do you think we are to just walk around with drugs in a foreign country?
Well, stupid. You'd be shocked.
You're not that stupid. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good example. Brittany Griner.
She's not stupid. We know she's
she did something stupid. She went Russia. I mean, we're not attacking anyone. We're just saying.
At the time,
people do dumb things.
Okay, fine. People do dumb things.
Yeah.
But as for why I went to Ghana, so like actually I went for Afro Nation. I have mixed feelings about them that I am trying to work through. So give me time.
What's Afro Nation?
So Afro Nation is a festival. It's supposed to be 2 days. This in 2022, the acts were like CK, Tiwa Savage, Oxalade, Asake, Rema, like Yake, like all these incredible people. It just so happened that like on the second day of the festival, these guys decided to cancel the headline show, which was Rema, because they were citing security concerns. I have a problem with how they decided to do the entire thing, and I'm in contact with them, which is why I'm reluctant to talk about it, because the issue is not resolved. Right? Let the issue be finished, and then I can fully discuss it. Right?
So it's because Afro Nation is the reason why everybody, like, we've had all the big names going to.
So I went. So I went because of Afro Nation, but there's also something called Afrochella, where Burna Boy, Arya Star, I think Kiddy, like all these guys were also supposed to be. Stone Boy was also supposed to be performing there. Then on the 6th of January this year, there was also a Black Star Line Festival with Chance the Rapper, T-Pain, Michael Blackson, like all these international acts. And the reason why I think people are going to Ghana is, I think it's also like marketing. Like Ghana's done, Accra in particular, has done a really good job of marketing itself as this party destination, this place where like you can just go and enjoy yourself, no consequences. Every single night is a fantastic night. And having been there, every single night for the most part was a banger. Right? But I also think that because when I was there, I also saw a lot of Americans, so many Americans, and I think that has to do with what the Ghanaian government is doing to attract African Americans to Ghana. It's basically saying, come, we're going to help you find your heritage, we're going to help you, if you want to come live here forever, it's fine, there's a permanent path to residency. Like they're basically being very welcoming, to the point where even me as a Kenyan, I was shocked to learn I can just show up in Ghana. I don't need a visa.
You get it on arrival.
Get it on arrival. It takes like 2 minutes. That's it. It was one of the few times in my life where I felt pride at having a Kenyan passport, that I was able to be like, yes, I don't need a visa. The second time actually happened in Ghana when I was at the beach. And somebody was like, oh, so how was the beach? Like, was it nice? And I said, you know what? I can say this with my chest, and I can say this with so much pride. I have had better. Kenya has better beaches, and I was so proud.
Love your country, man. That's what I'm saying.
I was so proud.
So after going to Ghana for the holiday,
actually,
you still feel like Kenya is still a good place to be?
You know
like
what?
There's things we need to improve as a country.
You know what? I have 2 things to say. The first one is safety. The day we went to the beach, the person we went with told us that like he got there before us and he wanted to go swimming at the ocean, so like he left his phone, all his technology, his wallet and everything on the chair, went into the ocean, swam for like an hour and a half, and then came back and his stuff was still there.
Kwani, where did McMill go? Did McMill go to real Ghana, or
that's the thing, I don't know. That's the thing I don't like. You hear that story of safety, and then you hear when McMill went to Afro Nation, his phone was stolen and he got into a fight after like 15 minutes when he got off the stage, right? So like I don't know what to believe.
So while you were there, did you feel safer walking the streets of Accra than you do the street of Nairobi?
I definitely felt safer. There were so many more people walking the street in Accra, so many more people. Like my friend and I, because we were both 2 young girls, we were not the only 2 young people walking around, right? So nobody was batting an eye, nobody was looking at us, which made us feel safe, right? Which is my first question, which was my first response. My second one,
just okay as 2 young girls, nobody looking at you.
It was nice, that kind of anonymity, that safety of realizing that nobody's monitoring your movement. That was the first lesson I learned in Ghana. It was very interesting, like this idea that you are safe and it's okay for you to be safe. Yeah, like for me that was big, because in Kenya, whenever I feel safe, I feel like something is.
That's paranoia.
Thank you. It was weird not feeling paranoid, right? The second thing that I learned, I didn't learn when I got to Ghana. I learned in the airport, specifically JKIA. So when I went to Ghana, it was a girls' trip.
Oh, you learned when you're going?
When I was going. So and when I went to Ghana, it was a girls' trip. And me and my friend, we ended up chatting up somebody from South Africa. And she was telling us, we were asking her, like, oh, how was your experience in Kenya? Did you have fun? And she was like, yeah, like I met like this really, like I have this guy, like we were going out all the time, all these things. But it's really weird because like he expected me to be okay with all his side women and side chicks and all these things. And I was shocked and I was like, no. And we were like, yeah, but that's Kenyan men for you. And she she was like, yeah, but I've often been told by other women that Kenyan men are the most romantic on the planet. And we were like, what do you mean Kenyan men are the most romantic on the planet? Like, it's not a planet, right? In Africa. What do you mean Kenyan men are the most romantic in Africa? Like, we do not understand. Hey, sir, you're competing against Spanish, English, people with accents.
No, English leave them, but the Spanish, yeah.
So we were just shocked. So hence why I wanted to come back to my home country and bring it forward between two men. The first question. Two single men, right?
Kenyan men, yeah.
Two single Kenyan men. Do you agree? I mean, obviously the answer is going to be yes, but like, do you agree?
Yes.
Do you feel that Kenyan men are romantic? Do you guys believe yourselves to be romantic?
If you know the answer is obviously yes.
I'm just assuming because I would never say no to a question like that.
I think Mwas will go
I'll go first. So the first thing I'll ask you a question. The person you're chatting with.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Is she a Kenyan or she's just someone who was visiting?
South Africa, and she was visiting Kenya.
Then went back to South Africa to live there.
She actually was we were in Ghana at the same time, and then she went back home.
She met, from what I've heard, she met a guy from Kenya.
But what I'm asking is, when she was in Kenya, she was a visitor.
Yes, she was a visitor.
Then she went back to South Africa, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, now here we go.
Yeah.
Number one, I'll say, Aileen, you are one of the worst ambassadors of this country. One of the worst ambassadors.
What do you want me to do? Fly a Kenyan flag?
You can't be telling her that's Kenyan men for you.
I'm speaking from experience.
You're one of the worst ambassadors.
Do you want me to lie on behalf of you?
No, you know why I'm telling you that? Because, and then this is why I asked that question. This Chile is a visitor in Kenya. So you want this guy to drop the Chiles he has for a tourist? Does that even make sense? Tourists, you're supposed to come here, we have fun for the time you're here. Then once we are done with having fun, you go back to your place. I go back to my people.
Okay, that's all well and good, but I guess this is maybe something I should have specified. The way she made it seem was like the way he presented himself in that relationship was, I love you so much. Like, I'm going to worship you. Like, everything you want is yours, right? So like that kind of treatment doesn't make you think there's somebody else in the picture.
From what you told the lady,
Chile.
Yeah,
it's like you agreeing with her that that's Kenyan men for you. So what's your experience with Kenyan men that you need to say that you expected the same thing?
Before she can answer that, she asked us a question.
So you haven't
think Kenyan men are romantic?
I think we are the most romantic.
Studies have been done. It's not even me saying. Studies have been done showing that most women in Africa prefer us
shocked
to most men in Africa.
I am shocked.
So that's your answer. Facts.
Okay, so the reason why I am shocked is that my experience with Kenyan men for the most part has been iffy at best. I will admit that I am partly to blame because the person I was in those relationships is not who I am now, and that person was immature and not really ready for commitment, all these things that don't really make a relationship successful, right? Having said all these things, I will need to say I am in love with a Kenyan man. He's great. He's super romantic. But I don't want to say he's the exception because that seems...
But why will you have to sell to this chick? Why us single? Now you're denying us opportunity to bargain this.
Do what?
Her man is okay. Everyone else is a douchebag. That's a problem. But mine is
okay. See, it goes back to what I said at the very beginning of this episode. This idea that somebody's only ever willing to put in the effort for something they care about. So maybe the people that I was with just didn't care about me the way I wanted them to care about me, right?
So you're being selfish.
Not being selfish.
You want it to be all about you, and I'm just being a man to you. Maybe. So for me, I can only spend 2 hours with you in a day, probably, right?
Yeah.
But you want 6 hours.
Yes.
So when I'm not able to, you're this guy is not even romantic.
And I think that's the conversation that I want us to have, right? Because like you said, if the best of your ability is 2 hours, but I want 6, right? Does that mean that we can't work together, or should I just communicate my expectations, and if you can't meet them, we move our separate ways? If there's no compromise, we move our separate ways? I guess to start this conversation, what is romance to you guys?
No, you tell us. You're the Chile. You expect that from us. So what is romance?
Wait. Do you guys not expect? But do you guys not expect romance?
Different. Romance for me is different from I think what romance is to you.
Because you're the one who's accusing us of not being romantic.
Okay, so
even though the studies have shown that
You're the
we
best,
are.
man. Hands down.
So just tell us what
okay.
is this? Why do you disagree with the studies?
Okay, so the reason why I disagree with the studies is that, like I said, my experience of Kenyan men has been rather iffy.
Yeah.
Right? It's that thing of, I'm not sure if it's a Kenyan man or if it's not sure the kind of men I was dating. I'm not sure if it's me or a pattern or whatever.
Hope when you say Kenyan men, it's not an experience with one or two.
No.
Mostly.
You forgot that I grew up here, right? So majority of my formative sexual experiences were with Kenyan men.
Okay.
Right? I didn't start to venture outwards until I was maybe 19.
Okay.
Right?
So you have numbers here in Kenya.
Sure, I have numbers.
Okay.
Not many, but I have numbers.
Okay.
You don't judge.
You don't judge.
So like the experiences I had, and maybe this was me not communicating my expectations, which is something that I've learned that I need to do, is like this guy will treat you like you are his entire world, which leads you to believe that you are the only one. And then when you learn that you are not, it's like, bro, right? Like, why didn't you? We could have had this. Like, why weren't you honest in the beginning? Like, we've now gotten into a place where in my mind, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, but to you, we're just chilling.
I'm confused because every time you're talking about this thing, you are putting yourself as the one who was the problem, who didn't understand.
It's because
so is it still you? We still
so the reason I do that, I think number one maybe comes from my own mental health issues, but I also think it comes from I don't know what you're thinking, and because I never had those conversations, I never had that closure, I can never say what it is you're thinking. I only know what it is that I did. I only know what it is that I did wrong, so I can only reflect on my mistakes.
So am I wrong to say that we can assume that all the guys you had?
You're wrong.
Let me just put it out.
Okay, so I'll finish.
My hypothesis is all these guys you were with, you had a poor communication thing going on with you.
Yeah, and I actually think it was.
So the problem is not Kenyan men are not romantic. We are romantic, but from your experience, you've had people who don't know how to communicate.
No. I think it's also like number one, that whole like lack of communication thing. But I also think it's you know, when somebody does like a big gesture for you, like they buy you dinner or they get you a necklace or jewelry, or like you've been talking about this, I don't know, like this experience you've been wanting to do for so long, and then they manage to make it happen, like the basic romantic things, right? The reason why I'm skeptical of like the romance of Kenyan men, right, is that when you realize that all those things were being done that made you feel so special and so loved and so wanted, and then you realize that you're not the only one, it takes the romance away, because now you're wondering, like, did he just do these things so we could just sleep together, or so you could keep my company? Right?
So you're accusing these guys of cheating.
I'm not accusing. It's like when you find out, hey, I'm not the only one. This is not me thinking like, oh, he smells like a different girl, he must be cheating on me. No, this is me finding out with concrete proof I am not the only one.
But that's not Kenyan. That's men.
That's everyone. So hence why I asked, what is your idea of romance, right? Because is it that like there's a lack of communication? Because romance, a big part of romance is that communicative aspect, or is it that what Kenyan men believe to be romance, or rather what men in general believe to be romance, is not what women typically accept as romantic
to me romance
expressions.
To me, the Kenyan romance is the gestures you've talked about, like you've wanted to be taking out to dinner, just taking you dinner. To me, romance is just doing stuff that you're not supposed to be doing, or more things that will make this other guy feel, yes, they can live without it. Me taking you to dinner, I don't have to. You can take yourself to dinner. I don't have to do stuff for you. I don't have to cook for you. but it will just feel nice me cooking to you. I don't have to tell you you look nice, blah blah. I can just leave you. Romance is the gestures that show that you appreciate this person more, you care about this person more, you value this person more. Doing stuff that you are not supposed to do, but you just do them because you want to do them.
Okay. Yeah. What about you, Mwas?
What romance looks like to me?
While you're answering that, can you also answer what it is that, like, what you consider to be romantic, like what you want a girl?
That's what I'll answer actually.
Okay.
Because I was very lucky that when I was dating, I don't want to say too much, but I was lucky that at some point when I was younger, I dated 2 people. Again, not at the same time, but I was lucky that the women that came into my life, they were good women. God looked at me and like,
God blessed you.
Yeah, this guy is a good person. So the 2 Chiles that I dated, they did something that I loved. They would come over to my place. They would take care of the home. They would prepare food.
Oh, by the most, let me just clarify.
Yes.
Are you saying that in your life you've only dated 2 Chiles? These are the 2 Chiles that you need to?
That like these are the ones that made an impact.
I've
that
only
left a
dated
mark.
2 Chiles.
Really?
Yes.
And both of them were like.
They were nice.
Interesting.
Man, you're so
I fumbled, man. I fumbled, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, so they would do those things they would do those things for me, and I loved that, and I loved them for that. So to me, that was I wouldn't say romance, but that was the epitome of I was in a happy relationship. Everything was good. So if you ask me what romance looks like, for me, it's a Chile like that. I would even use the word, they were traditional women for me. That's the only thing I crave for. So if I was to find a Chile who does what they did, and I'm comparing, which is not fair, but for me that is romance, that is love, that is everything I need in a woman.
Okay,
that's it.
So like, allow me to combine both of your answers, right? So like, both of you are saying that to be romantic means to spend time with the other person, to take care of them, to basically be a positive presence in their life, and like do things that make them happy without them asking for it.
Yeah, to me is
right.
Things that you don't need to do, but you just do them because.
Okay, so if that's the case, right, and we have established that I guess the 2 Kenyan men on this podcast are very capable of that,
romantic,
right? The
2 single romantic,
romantic Kenyan men are very capable of this. My very unsingle Kenyan man is very capable of this. Then why is it that Kenyan women feel so strongly to the point where we are not necessarily advertising it to other African women, but corroborating their negative experiences of Kenyan men? Like, is it that like the grass is greener on the other side? Is it that we don't appreciate it, or what?
Do your opinion hold any ground if we've been voted the most romantic for like 3
years in a row?
3 years in a row,
like 2018, 2019, 2021.
Who's been voting? See,
it's African women.
True,
not Kenyan. Kenyan women have voted, but like I feel like they vote for somebody else.
I think a prophet is not appreciated at home or something like that, and this concept of the grass is always green on the other side. Yes, it's true, it's green on the other side, but it's because those people water the grass, they take care of the grass. You see, right now
it's a new.
The unknown is very nice.
You've not known.
We've had some foreigners in this country, and the experience is not always the best with our Kenyan women, and vice versa. And I do believe the best man for a Kenyan woman is a Kenyan man, and vice versa, and everything. But we'll never appreciate each other because we've stayed around each other for so long that in sharing you say tumezoeana. If you try and marry or date a Chile that umezoeana na yeye, it will never work.
You won't appreciate.
Wait, hang on. Why not?
It doesn't. I'll give you an example right now. I won't mention names, but there's a Chile I used to like generally, but the thing with her is
from these 2 Chiles.
No, not from the 2. Those two.
Is the 3rd one now?
Those 2
potential number 3
in the tier system, they're elite. This one was just a potential. It was just a potential I was considering, and so I never dated this person before. Tuko tumezoeana to an extent where we would joke about just about anything, and those jokes zingevuka mpaka to a point where it was just tunazoeana ile, you know, like, hey, if this chile I was to date her now, I was spending time in a different setting, it would not work. A bit of mystery, a bit of kidogo respect, a bit of restraint is very important. Now the difference between you and I here, no, not even the difference, that we hang around each other so much that you know my weaknesses, my strengths, everything, to a point where you don't even respect me because I've done some nasty shit or crazy shit. Then you're like, these guys are all
you don't feel like the person you're supposed to be with should know you as this friend knew, like know your weaknesses.
No, I believe that's what I'm saying. Mystery is very important. Right now I could see a chile walking down the street. I'm like, hey, this chile man is a 10 out of 10. But guess what? The guys in her hood, they can't touch her with a 10-foot pole. They're like, the bodies on this chile, all the nonsense that this person has done, they know everything about her. And they're like, and vice versa also. They're like, there's no way I would katia this chile. You want me with a chile? So how is Kishu this chile?
So maybe the Kenyan chicks knows.
Yeah, it's kind of that, like that thing of like
yes. So that you want the miss, like, hey, it's a Nigerian. This is mysterious. Let me try this. But if you know, I understand why that happens, but I'll still remain. My view still remains: the best person for a Kenyan woman is a Kenyan man, and vice versa. Stick with your men.
I think that's true because our friend Aileen can attest to that.
4 years strong, baby.
Yeah, you see, and you see, the thing is, if you're not looking for, because some people get into these relationships looking to prove or to disprove something. You're like, all men are trash. Like, you see, let me get this. I was dating a Kikuyu. Let me try a Jaluo.
You have a point.
Just to show that. And to create what do you call it? Like when you're doing your research, you have this. I tried it here, so I have this list of all men, all Kikuyu men are this, all men from Turkana. Don't do that. Go into it, genuinely giving it a shot. Like, let me see what happens with this, whatever, and then. I'm the worst person to give this name because
clearly the worst person.
Okay, what do you mean clearly? We know nothing about your dating history.
Because I don't have the numbers.
We know nothing about your dating history. For all we know, your numbers are 0.
I think for now, let them remain 0.
No. Be honest.
About what? Like, what specifically do you want to know about?
Like the people you.
For me, it's 2.
Hang on, is it been in a relationship with, or people that you've been in love with? Those are very different.
I have been in love.
So being in love, that's too strong of a word.
Okay.
But if I had to say being in love, yes, so I'll go. It's the 2.
Okay, so
relationship and being in love.
Okay, so people you've been in a relationship with, and these people were also people you were in love with.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been with people who I felt I was in love with, and I've had different relationships.
Okay.
Give us the numbers.
Yeah, like 1, 3, 7, 10.
I think I've been in love with one person.
Okay. Was it good?
And really good.
Okay, good.
Really
How many people have you dated?
Really good. I've dated, I don't know, cause right now there's this called serious dating, and then there's having a thing.
Dated Kish. So how you define dating?
I don't know what's my definition of dating is.
Your definition
very skewed. I think I've dated like 2 people.
So
wait.
Why are you talking to me like that?
Wait.
No, mine is different because my definition of dating and relationship is very different from yours. Because when I was young, I was in different things. I don't know how
like
to situationships. Like when in campus I was in things.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'd classify those as relationships or dating, or because sometimes I get confused.
Are you exclusive with
sometimes them? I can't tell, or I can't say, or it's something I'm not willing to share right now.
Okay. So.
But it's different because, unlike you, I don't know, because after going through the stuff, I don't know where to classify these other people. You see, there's somebody I've had then I don't know how to classify the other person, because we went to certain stuffs and then we went to certain stuff, then called it
quits.
We called it dating, or we called it relationship. Then the other person, we never
defined
anything.
We never went to those lengths. So is it still dating, or is it still a relationship? You see. So maybe it was just a thing, or maybe.
How many things have you had? Pause.
It's plenty.
I've paused it, so it's okay.
It's plenty.
Okay. I guess, like you said, it depends on your definition of
what dating is in a relationship.
But I think I've been in love once.
Yeah, that's good. Was it a positive kind of love, or was it?
It was a positive thing. It was a good thing.
That's good. Everyone deserves that kind of love in their life.
So we won't ask you because in a committed relationship right now. Yeah, so we won't reply to that. You don't want to break anything or whatever.
I swear, the two of you are trying to
nothing but love.
Nothing but love.
But true, if anything happens, let us be the first to talk about it.
Because we know the guy.
I'm saying anything. Maybe they're getting married or. Why are you assuming?
No. I just thought it would be negative.
Yeah, why are you assuming negative?
Don't assume the negative.
Siama Kenya. So the negativity in this country is too much. I was just saying because we know the guy. Me, I'm wishing you nothing but the best.
A friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
Shout out.
Yeah, so we'll just come for the wedding and support you guys and be there for you.
Actually, you know what? Speaking of weddings, I actually do want to transition us to a new topic if you guys are open to it. I feel like we've exhausted this whole Kenyan Men Are Not Romantic thing. We may have proved it to be a bit of a fallacy, right? So let's move on to the next one.
So just to be clear, we want you to say it.
You want me to say what?
No, because you're dating a Kenyan man.
The Kenyan men are romantic. Just
is your Kenyan man romantic?
Studies have shown. We're not just saying it. Studies have shown it.
Okay, fine.
She's a study.
Fine. I don't want to speak in generalities, but I will say
from my experience right now, the last 4 years, Kenyan men are very blissfully romantic.
Tell me if this is romantic. Sorry to bring you back to this. When I was in high school, it's a short story. When I was in high school, there was a Chile I kind of liked. I've liked many.
Of course,
been with few. I liked this Chile, and so what happened was I was trying to talk to her, whatever. And then back in the day, Kiss FM, Kiss 100, it was Kiss 100. They used to have this thing where what's her name?
Kaleche Mo.
No, this is
Caroline.
Linda.
She used to be in Coca-Cola Popstars. I forget her name.
Caroline Motoko?
No. I'll remember her name. So she used to host this show where people would call Sanepe Tande. She would host a show where people would call in and request songs and all that. So Kiss was that radio station. If you had a radio station, you listen to Kiss. So this chiller was like, on Saturday what I'll do is I'll call in. I didn't call in, but that's the idea. I'll call in and drop a message. But at the last minute, I was like, let me not call. But I wrote a message, manze. I requested a song for her.
Cute.
Guess what happened?
No.
She wasn't listening to the radio.
But you are being romantic.
That's
You are romantic.
There are people who had it. It's a classmate who even had.
So you wrote the message and
You
sent.
did everything.
So
That's so romantic.
And the song, I remember the song.
So you didn't record and play it?
No,
I
I don't think so.
Back in the day, the phones were.
You didn't have a phone.
It's back in those days. So I sent that message. So I tried being romantic. Now for her, I will never be that romantic guy. But I really went above and beyond. Did something that I thought would be nice. But she never had it. So for her, Chris is trash.
So she won't appreciate.
She would appreciate.
You.
So maybe that's another thing that you guys don't even see when you
the things,
try.
the hidden things, yeah.
And then you judge us. But yeah, it was just like a short story. But
okay, you know what? Having like by the way, I'm very sorry. But you having said that, like. Yeah, like you do have a point.
I'm
telling you after that, I'm like, next week I ain't doing shit. I stopped trying. I stopped trying.
Please tell me.
We still talk. I talked to her afterwards or whatever. But from that moment, I had this kiwaru. I was like, I ain't doing shit, man. I'm done. Imagine doing all that effort, going to radio, man.
That's it. That's it. I think that's.
But like, do you think that's what happens to like a lot of men in general? Like, you try this one big romantic gesture, it doesn't pan out the way that you want it to pan out. And like, you're not like, either there's no thank you, or she's not receptive, or like you guys got into a fight afterwards or whatever, and all of a sudden it's like,
I'm done.
I think it happens both ways. Chicks, guys, or even chicks feel like sometimes they come and wash for you your clothes, Nini, but you don't appreciate it as much as they want you to.
It's true.
They do things for you that you feel like these are normal. Like, you wash my dishes, I say, tell you what you're supposed to do it.
But you ate.
That's your job, but in your head it's like,
no,
I went above and beyond.
Yes,
it's true. So
did this for you.
Okay.
Men try.
Okay, so men try, right? Now, onto the subject of like marriage, like what I was trying to get to. I want to talk about.
I think as single men,
you asking single, but you've been in love. So, and
here's the thing: both of you guys have been in love. As in, to the extent that the past you at that time understood what love was, right? Because I've come to understand that, like, like I've come to understand as you grow older, your understanding of love also develops, right? So what I thought was love at 16 is not what I think is love at 26.
Whatever,
Jesus. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about marriage and Gabriel.
Walking through Ghana, a young lady walking in Ghana,
I felt safe. Leave me alone, okay? I felt safe.
I thought so too, but
by the way, I feel so old.
But in Ghana, you're young.
Actually, in Ghana, like I feel like everyone was the same age as me. Like we were all like 25 to like 23ish to like 27ish, enjoying ourselves, maybe 30, like vibing. It was great. There was very, very few young people, and I was like, yes.
Even us, I think we've consumed your energy, we've absorbed your energy. We feel like we are 24, 23.
By the way, I was so rude of me not to ask, how was your December?
No, let's go straight to the
Okay, so you're going to swerve that question. So this question about marriage, have you guys heard what Gabriel Union said?
I saw something, and it was
something
shitty.
You disagree with, and I'm assuming you haven't. So in the context of like giving the, or rather in the attempt to give the full story, let me give the full quote, because the full quote isn't that bad, right? She said like, well, she was being interviewed for this new movie that, and I quote, "In my first marriage, neither one of us felt the marriage should get in the way of our dating. A part of it was like keeping up with his activities, like, oh, what are you doing? You're going to feel this one. And I just felt entitled to cheating as well." She said that she was working her ass off and she felt like cheating is what comes with all the riches. And the way people, or rather the way this quote was reported, was that Gabriel Union felt like she was entitled to cheat because she was the money maker in the relationship.
She said it.
Do you guys, okay, what are your thoughts? Not even agreeing or disagreeing. Mwas, what is your thought? What are your thoughts?
I don't endorse cheating.
Okay.
Whether it's from men or women, I don't endorse cheating. So the fact that she cheated, that by itself is wrong. But for her to say she felt entitled to cheat because she was working her ass off, she's married already. When you're married, you're saying, I will leave everyone else for you. It's you I'll be with. And that's the reason as to why most men are very cautious of having a super successful woman, because part of the value, part of the way men get their value is being providers. And if the woman provides, she more often than not they tend to step all over you. And now I will use that example to say my case is being validated or whatever. I stand, because she said she felt entitled because she was working her ass off. Okay. So that's my view.
In Kish, before I give my 2 cents.
Mine is Americans are just different kind of people. They go by different rules. They do their own stuff. So as Gabriel as an American, maybe it makes sense for her to say something like that. But we've known like Americans are just different. Like their views are just, let me say, values are just different. But I agree with Mwangi because sometimes people who feel like, or let's say chicks who feel like they have accomplished things, or people who are like, how do I put it? Like if I'm the top G as a guy, I expect the chick to go with whatever I say. If I decide to have multiple wives, the Tate says, if you're the top G, you're expected to
have more than one.
Like I have plenty of wives.
Okay,
so
just gonna move past Andrew Tate for a minute.
Our modern society, we also feel like if the woman is the top G, we expect her, she expects to be the top G, like behave in a certain way. She doesn't need to be told anything. She makes the rules. She's the
decision maker,
like the man of the. She wears the pants in the
household.
Household. So I understand Gabriel Union, but
do you agree with it though?
I don't agree with it, but I understand where she's coming from.
Yeah.
If like as a man, if you are supposed to be doing all this stuff, if you're the top G, you're expected to provide and do these things.
Everything.
You also expect the woman to be with you in whatever state you'll be. If you decide to cheat, she'll be okay. Like people have been giving examples that if you are a chick, you expect to be with Chris Brown. Cheating is cheating is part of the cheating is part of the thing. Like if you have a McLaren and you know like a McLaren is not a daily driver, it won't do that. It won't be effective every time. But if you have a Toyota, like just a basic car,
it's reliable.
It's
I don't even want
driver,
to know what you think like the Toyota equivalent of a woman is.
So I understand what Gabriel is saying, but I don't agree with.
Okay, I mean I also disagree with what she's saying, right? But I also understand the logic.
Okay, yeah.
Right, like I get that logic because I see it animating a lot of those like extramarital relationships I see in Nairobi, right? Because the sense I always get from the Wababas is that like me, I've done everything that I've done for my family. My wife has the best clothes, the best car. She goes to all the best holidays. I've sorted her. My kids go to the best schools. They're going to go to the best universities in the world. Me, I am good. Therefore, having provided for my family and having achieved that particular goal, whatever I do in my free time is for me and me alone. If I choose to spend it with other women, that you should not care. It's my time. So like I get the logic, but I just don't. It's just wrong, right? Because the whole point, like as you said, the whole point of being in a marriage is that you've said, all you other people fuck off. This individual right here, that is my person. This person right here, this is the person who I will spend every single day of my life. I've chosen to shackle myself with them for the rest of my days.
What if Gabriel Union was a dude?
I would still feel the same way. In fact, if Gabriel Union was a dude, I think it would make it a lot worse because I feel like there would be some men out there who'd be like, yeah, of course, but she's already paid the bills. She's doing everything she's supposed to do. Why can't she cheat? She's done everything she's supposed to do.
So, like I said, I do not endorse cheating.
Yes,
but a man having multiple partners is not an absurd idea.
Wait a minute. And a woman having multiple partners is?
Very absurd.
Why?
It's haram. It's not, number one, it's haram. Let's go with religion. Islam says if you're a man and you have the ability, you have the resources.
You can provide for your family.
Up to 4. You're told you can marry up to 4. Just don't make anyone suffer. Treat them equally. But now, if you're Muslim, you're not supposed to be you can't be a woman and be married to more than one husband. So there's that. Traditionally, even here in Kenya, polygamy is allowed.
Yeah, but polyandry, I think the one with women,
it's not. So because I don't know how. I mean, I know how to put it, but I don't want to offend anyone. But you understand, with a guy, one person, I don't know.
Wait.
It's allowed, guys.
But like, if for example, me as a woman, like very similar circumstances, right? Like, I can not only provide for one household but four.
Yes.
Why don't I create like a family with four different husbands who I am perfectly capable of providing for? What's wrong with that?
It's been frowned upon.
But why?
It's
not allowed.
One of the purposes, one of the main purposes of marriage is procreation.
And
One of the main ones. So right now, if I have 4 women, it means in 1 year I can have 4 kids.
Yeah.
But if you're one woman with 4 husbands, in 1 year, how many kids can you have? Ideally,
1 kid.
1 kid. So it means
You won't even know
you have
the father.
4 pregnancies for each of them to be a father, number 1. But for me, 1.
I feel like you've forgotten one important thing.
Which is?
What if they don't know who the father is? Like, what if?
True. They'll not know the father
until like 9 months later. But you know,
but you still have 9 months in 1 year. In 1 year you can only give birth
to 1.
Okay, so you're saying that due to biological considerations, specifically that once a woman is pregnant, she is quote unquote out of commission for 9 months,
more or less.
That the idea of a woman shacking up with multiple men or multiple husbands is
unheard of.
Not unheard of. I don't want to say inappropriate, just like
just
untenable.
Because right now,
inappropriate.
Let's talk about even African homes.
Constitutional.
Constitution being kubali. But you see, in African homes, we'll have one father, 3 mothers, and we know that men die before women generally.
Yeah, y'all do stupid shit, man.
I don't know.
As men, my God.
That's part of.
So that's why. Because I'll die early. Imagine I have 3 kids. I die and I go. This kid will be taken care of. There are women to take care of that kid. If that woman was to die, there are 2 others. But if you're the only woman and you go, now these 4 men are left there holding their dick in their hands, wondering how you're raising this kid. In terms of maybe lactation and all those nini. So women should be in a monogamous, even men should. But in the event that a man decides to be in a polygamous, me, I'm all for that. I am more forgiving, and I guess maybe it's because I'm a man. I'm more forgiving of men cheating than a woman cheating. I'm more forgiving.
Okay, you know what? I've heard this so many times from every single man I've spoken to. They have consistently said that like them cheating is not the same thing as their girlfriends cheating.
It's not.
Kish, do you agree?
I don't know.
I agree. It's not.
I don't know. I think I don't agree.
Okay, explain. Because I was expecting you guys to be on the same page on this one.
It's something as a man, cheating is cheating. Like you're denying, like you've made like your decision with one person that
you've committed
to them, then you go and do a different thing from. So cheating is a different thing. Like let's say cheating is the same. Like a man cheats, a woman cheats. To me, I think it's just the same because you're pretending to be with this one person, then you're going against your word being with another person. It's different from saying you're going to be polygamous. You see, that's not cheating. Just telling your woman that I'm adding another
your helper
person in the mix.
A helper.
True. So me, cheating is what I don't agree with.
So we are all in agreement that cheating is wrong. But like I said, I'd be more forgiving
if a man was to be the cheater. Yeah.
Would you rather have a co-wife or your partner cheats? Which one would you be more inclined to accept, so to speak?
That's a very tricky question. It's a tricky question, not because of emotions and also because of legal considerations, right? Because like if you are a co-wife, then you are entitled to everything that he has, right? And as the first wife, I know for a fact that I have an instrumental role in building what he has.
Okay.
That right? Like for example, if I stay home every single day to take care of the family and the house and everything, that frees him up to go make the money, right?
Yes.
So if he becomes a billionaire or a millionaire or whatever, I'm going to take credit for that shit, right? Because I played my role.
Okay.
And if I have a co-wife, she gets something for basically doing nothing, right? And I have and that's an unfair assessment, but I feel like
But
right now that's how it is.
What do you mean doing
what
nothing?
Mwas is telling you is for one to be a co-wife, because most first wives feel like the co-wives are the
Leeches.
husband cheated with the co-wife.
No. Okay,
You see,
for
how the relationship develops is like you are the first wife,
yeah,
but you feel that the husband is cheating with another woman.
with the co-wife. So it's the
But the co-wife comes as I'm just being added into the equation.
Yeah.
But in your mind is cheating.
so and this is the point that I was getting to. Like, so in as much as I feel like you have done nothing to deserve the work and the input that I have done, because not only have I like freed up this man to like go be his best self, but I've also put in the work to like develop him. Right, like who you met him as is not who I met him as.
Okay, fair.
Right,
That's fair. That's fair.
right, and it feels just a bit shitty for you to get to enjoy the man he is now.
You think it's opportunistic?
When I no, not opportunistic, just shitty. Because opportunistic suggests that you understood what he was and are now coming in when it's favorable to you. And I'm not going to assume that, right? I'm just going to assume you're coming in and you have no idea, and it just feels like shit to have somebody else benefit from all the hard work that you've done, right? But that's a very short-term thinking, right? Because fundamentally, a co-wife takes stress off you, right? Like a very good example is you're tired, you don't want to have sex tonight, so you'd be like, see, you go to wife number 2. Me, I'm tired, go.
But you don't do that. See, he decides.
And he decides what?
Where he's going.
to get
Yeah,
this
but
thing.
see, I can still say no. If I say no, he moves.
But you know the solution to that thing, to that whole she's coming to take what's mine or whatever, is him marrying a third wife.
Oh my
Now
God.
you and the co-wife have someone else to hate.
Yeah, but then the third wife, then the solution to that one becomes marrying a fourth wife.
It's like there's a man who has, I think, I don't know, over 26 wives
And over 100
kids, I don't
and
know,
like,
300 grandkids. He kept solving that problem, like, oh, so you two hate
but it just seems like
with
a
someone else.
pyramid scheme.
But here's what I'll say. Men, this is why I said I would be more forgiving of a man if he cheated. And again, I'm a man, so take this with a grain of salt.
A bag of salt.
Yes, go to Magadi and
A
just
lorry or something.
go to Magadi and just have fun. So it is said that when women cheat, it's more emotional. It starts emotional. So you sit here when you come here and you're talking about your problems, and Kish is listening to you and he's like, oh, Aileen, I'm sorry that happened. Like that friend of yours, I'm very suspicious of him, but we won't go there. So,
The friend who was
like,
with
oh,
their-
don't
with
worry.
her during her mental
Exactly.
breakdowns.
And like for me, I'd be like, hey, that friend, I will keep some distance from Aileen. But for me, if I go to a club,
his
maybe he's the current
guy
boy.
right now.
Could be, and that goes to show that that emotionally, once a woman connects with a guy emotionally, then it changes everything. But for a guy, I'll just go to a club right now. I see a Chile who's well endowed. She's beautiful. I do the business and I'm gone, and I may never even think of her ever again.
True.
So it's more physical than anything else. But emotionally, you even take things from our home and you go discuss with that person. Things happen in your life. You're like, you know what? My husband is a donut. He wouldn't even understand anything. Let me go to my bestie and talk to this
Talk to
person.
him,
That's why I'm like, when a woman cheats, it builds up. You don't just okay, there are women who cheat like that, but for women it builds up over time. You hang around this guy for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, even 1 year, and slowly it's chipping away your resistance until you're like, I can't resist anymore. I'm okay. Yes, I can't resist any. No, I'm just going to say something. But for a guy, I can meet a Chile today. Do the deed today, and by tomorrow I'm done. That's the reason as to why.
But let me. That is a lot to unpack. So let me just first answer the first question. So like, after having said everything about wife number 1, 2, 3, 4 ad infinitum, I would much rather prefer the situations of the wives than to the cheating, because the whole point about cheating is that you're keeping it in the dark.
Okay.
Right. Yes. And my line, I've even told my boyfriend this. My line is, look, if we ever get to a point where like our relationship has gotten to that point where we've decided that like we need other people to enhance our happiness or whatever, right?
He needs other people.
Not he.
That's different.
Not he. We.
That's an open relationship.
No, not he. We. Because
Both of you,
because if he insists that I need this other side chick to make me happy, then how can you not extend that same courtesy to me? right? It's do unto others. Do unto others, right?
Feminist alert.
In that instance, I would much rather always know.
Okay.
I would much rather know and be kept in the loop than to feel like you are lavishing attention upon me. You are treating me like I am the only person in your orbit, and then I find out there's somebody else. It then cheapens everything you have ever done for me, and it just taints it with this, with nothingness. It removes all meaning, removes all romance, and basically says to me that you never cared about me. Right? Because in my mind, if you had cared about me, you would have given me that chance to decide whether or not I'm okay with you having multiple relationships. Number one. Number two, on the question of like whether or not it's worse for a guy or a chile to cheat, I don't know. Like I do want to question that whole idea that like when a chick cheats, it's like emotional.
Let's go.
Because like sometimes.
Have you ever cheated?
Not sometimes, but mostly.
Okay, I have cheated, yes.
My God.
And when I cheated, yes, it did start as emotional. Yes. Yes.
How did I know?
Yes, it did. Yeah. However, you know what? I feel like I'm not the best person to speak. Can we invite somebody on here that has never cheated?
That's okay.
Please.
The thing is, I'm saying, like, you've even acknowledged that when it started with you, unfortunately.
No, don't have. It's not funny.
It is good.
Because I heard
trying
somebody.
To fight it. You're trying to
I
fight
heard
it.
somebody though. Like that's the thing. Because here's the point that I was trying to make. The hurt is still the same. For me, as a chick, whenever I think about my partner potentially cheating, whether it's emotional or physical, the pain I feel at that potential prospect is the same. Right? Because either way, you've betrayed my trust. Either way, you have crossed a line that I never thought you would cross, and now I need to decide whether or not I can continue this relationship, whether or not you've done something that we can never walk back from, right? And I guess I've matured enough to realize that perhaps cheating is not the end all and be all, right? Sometimes there are bigger considerations involved, but I'm also at the place in my life where I can't afford to say fuck you if you cheat on me. I don't have your kid. We don't have a mortgage together. We don't live together. We don't have furniture together. If you cheat on me, it's okay. Thank you for showing me just how much you mean to me, or I mean to you. Thank you. I'm going to move.
Maybe, but for me, I've even talked to some female friends. They are more open to forgiving a cheating boyfriend. They are open to forgiving, because especially if. Because there's this thing, and this is not even in Kenya, there's a certain Chile saying, if a guy has a lot of women in his DMs and whatever, he's talking to women, it means he's desirable. There's something about him that other women want. But when your guy, his DMs are just dry, he never texts anyone, he has no B word around him, you're like, why is it that nobody wants this guy? There has to be something wrong with this guy. So women would be more open, like, hey, he even cheated. So he's desirable. And again, I'm just being biased, and as a guy, I'm just trying to maybe deter the male race. But a woman cheating is so, like, for me, I would never forgive my chile if she was to cheat. Okay, but I guess she would forgive me if I had one.
I feel like I get where you're coming from, simply because when a woman is cheating, she has turned to someone else, which basically means that you're useless. So it's not about her, it's about how she's made you feel useless, that you are rebelling against.
Let's talk about this for a second, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, studies have said that most women don't even have an orgasm.
In straight relationships, it is.
Yes, most of them even die without even having
straight relationships.
What other
women who have sex with women are more likely to orgasm like frequently than women who have sex with men.
What are these relationships called? If these other ones are called straight,
gay relationships.
So in gay relationships,
yes.
So,
see, that's what we talked about.
So let's just go with heterosexual relationship.
Yeah, fine.
Most women in heterosexual relationships don't even have orgasms in the course of their lifetime. something like that. Now, for a guy, guys experience it 100%.
Oh my god, it's so easy for you. I am envious.
So you see, it makes sense for a guy to just chase it because it's easy. I'll just go that chile, I'll get it. The other one, I'll get it. The other one, I'll get it because I know what I'm getting. For a woman, you've never even had it. What are you chasing? Are you chasing something you don't even know? So that's why I'm like, why did she go?
I mean, you're presuming, and I feel like we need to include Kish on this. Yeah, but like you're presuming that like she hasn't gotten it from in general when she could have been giving herself orgasms. So like she knows what needs to be done. It's the guy that's not meeting it.
Tell me.
So perhaps here's the thing that unfortunately, some men are not receptive to feedback in the bedroom.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
okay.
They take it as you saying that they are not the man, as opposed to this is what I need to get to where I need to go. Let's treat it as such.
I think the problem is just communication. How you communicate stuff will determine if I take it positively or
how you package it.
Okay, all right.
How you package it. Is it if it comes as like you're
dressing you down? Let's do that, Bana.
It's just communication.
Okay, hang on. So let's role play, right? I'm going to be the guy. You're going to be the chile.
No.
Because you're saying you're saying it's about communication. You're saying it's about communication. You can be the top G and be the top bitch, man.
Let's role play. I'll be the guy and you'll be the chile. But I still don't want to role play because I know the dude.
Okay, fine.
I know the Kenyan romantic man.
So fine. Let's speak in generalities, right? So like, let's say you're having sex with a chick and you realize that like this chick has been faking it, like she's not orgasming. So how would you like her to give you that feedback of this is what I need you to do? Move here, do this. Like how?
It's just telling me do this more or like give me hints when I'm doing stuff tell me do this instead of doing this. It's different from somebody telling me you didn't do as
a good job
of as blah 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 did it. You see, there's talking down on somebody or just being like, you can tell if I'm telling you, hey, Aileen, your hair looks nice.
Oh, thank you so much.
Or I'm telling you, like, the blue color is.
Thank you.
You want to be allowed in KeMU.
That one. You have to shave it.
I refuse. I refuse.
You got it.
There's just communication that you'll have to see that this person is genuine and he or she is telling me this, or just drop hints. Like, hey, babes, I like if you do this and this. I'll do that and that more.
Yes, true.
But if you come and tell me I didn't like, telling me stuff you didn't like, as opposed to telling me stuff you prefer, is it different?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just communication. Just know how to communicate, and plus you've been with this person for quite some time, so I'm sure you know.
I was speaking in generality. In general,
you know how to communicate with your guy. So if you want to tell him, do for me this, then put yourself in the position that he'll have to do for you whatever you need to.
Okay.
Let me use this example before you go. Say I was giving you a massage. And let me use that language of massage language. Yeah, you have notes. You have notes. I don't know where.
You know massage language.
Yeah, because I've watched some movies. So
you surprise me every day.
you learn something new. Eh? So this is what I would expect. If I was giving you a massage and maybe on your shoulder, that's where you feel like you need more
attention.
When I'm there, okay, there, just add more pressure, whatever. Instead of you waiting for me to finish, like that massage was work, but now what were you doing? You wasted 30 minutes of my life.
But my back,
you not even sorted anything. But when I'm there, I'm like, I touch you that place. Oh, like wait, there, just more pressure. Okay. Now move to the other shoulder. That is more constructive, and I'm like, oh, okay. So this is where there's a lot of tension. Let me focus on that point until And we're not talking about massage here. We're talking about
Okay.
massage, but you're not talking about massage. That's a better way of communication rather than waiting until I'm done. And then you're like, you're just giving me a
Trashing
score.
everything.
You're
Okay.
like, that's an F banner.
Okay, that's that. And on the subject of communication for women all over the world, when we say right there, don't stop, I beg of you, do not stop. It's not a sign to go faster or go slower unless you are trying to edge us. Don't fucking stop. It's so annoying.
Do you want to tell his?
The person? No.
Oh,
I'm here.
no,
I'm
no.
Don't stop.
No.
You've been warned.
No.
It's been clear that you've been stopping.
Listen.
general.
You've been stopping. Don't try it
Please
next
do not throw anything under the bus. Anyone under the bus. I am speaking in generalities.
Okay.
Number one.
I'm just advising.
But that's-
Advising.
see, what you're saying, when you say don't stop, that's good communication. Rather
Like,
than just
right there,
wait,
keep
until
going.
it's done,
Done.
and then
Trashing
say
it.
that this guy is useless. He doesn't do anything. That is not constructive. You're not
Telling your
helping.
South African friend that Kenyan men are
Exactly.
We did not tell her. She came to the conclusion herself, and we were like, yes. Again, I was working on old
agree.
knowledge.
Patriotism is standing by your country. Yeah?
I stood by my country at the beaches. I
You
stood by
trashed
my
us.
country at the
No,
cops.
you
I stood by my country at the party
you
scene.
had not even left Kenya. And the first interaction you had with an un-Kenyan
Trashed
is, Kenyan
Kenyans.
men are used. The first interaction, you took that opportunity to trash Kenya in your own country.
Because here's the thing, I just don't understand. Like even right now, like I get it from a very personal experience, because having experienced a very romantic Kenyan man, like I get why people would say Kenyan men are very romantic. But on the whole, whenever my single friends tell me their stories, I'm like,
Salty.
even
even as you were telling your
yeah,
stories.
like even when you guys tell me your stories about like Kenyan women and like your relationships you guys have been in for the most part.
You're not trashing
Men don't
anyone.
trash
No.
women, by the way.
We are not
Character
trashing
development.
anyone. We're
No, but
saying
it's-
this is the best.
But it's character.
These are the best relationship we've ever
I'm
had.
not talking about you guys. I'm
In
talking
general.
about some
in
of
general.
the men in general. It's character development. Like I'm not sure if it's Nairobi or Kenya, but there's something about dating in this country, or even dating in general, that just feels a lot harder than it should be.
But at least for us, we've told you, like, from Mwas, you learned that from the 2 or 3. I'm not sure.
It was the 2, not 2 or 3. It was
the
2.
third one was supposed to.
No, it was just consideration, but then
From the 2 he
I'm not
had, they were the best. That
Yes.
like, these are the best
Best I
people
ever had.
he ever want to
Yes.
meet again. For me, I've had like the one person I've ever wanted to like see again. So it's not like we are trashing.
Kenyan women.
We love our
We're just saying things happen that was
I
beyond
mean,
our control, but
you
we
know
had the
what?
best time.
You
These
know
people,
what?
We don't say that
Kenyan women are awesome.
trash, oh.
Kenyan women are awesome, so I completely understand why
no,
you'd be
no, here's the
reluctant.
thing.
We agree.
Internally, we might say Nairobi chicks are like this, whatever, but we don't trash our women. When the topic of Kenyan women comes up, we do not trash our women. We love our women. We'll defend our women.
Yeah,
We'll protect our women.
100%.
But our women take every opportunity to sling mud at us. This is not romantic. Blah blah blah.
Okay.
Nigerians are better. They are stolen.
Okay, so I guess my final question is: do you think? And I have my own thoughts on this, right? But do you think that as Kenyan women, we are expecting, like, we're not loyal, right? Like, as you have so correctly pointed out and correctly criticized in my behavior, I didn't even wait to leave Kenya before I was trashing Kenyan men. Whereas you guys on your platform have been very careful to treat Kenyan women with respect.
Yes.
And you see this pattern playing out over and over again, right? Kenyan women are like, Kenyan men are trash. Kenyan men are like, it's okay.
It's our
Like,
women.
it's,
We
yeah,
understand
you
it.
I
understand.
think you it's
So
not like
you
you are
expect
not
that
loyal.
loyalty.
I don't know. I don't know if it's loyalty or something. It's something that Mwas said. You feel like the grass is always greener on
The other side.
the other side.
I've never ever heard a Kenyan man say like Ugandan women are better. Go for a Ghanaian woman or South African woman. Like never.
True,
But I
because
always
we
hear
value
this.
you. We've had a good experience with you guys. Man.
Yeah. So
That might be the sweetest thing I've ever heard you say.
But,
I think you've had so many. This is the one you.
I'm paying attention.
I guess I'll conclude by saying hurt people will hurt people. And when you've had bad experiences, you look at all men.
But Aileen is not hurt. Yet
it's general too. No, there's a guy who was.
I was hurt, right?
That's why you.
I mean, definitely, because I was hurt, I definitely hurt people, right?
Okay.
Like I had to do a lot of inner work to get beyond that point where I wasn't self-sabotaging anymore.
Okay, let me go back to that. When that happened, did you at any point consider dating a non-Kenyan? Or are you saying, when I heal, I'll go back to my Kenyan brothers? Or did you say, me, I'm done with Kenyans. If I get a Congolese, I'm gone?
No, ideally.
See, that's when she got.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Okay.
So, like, to answer your question, I never had like a nationality in mind, right? I never did. Like, unfortunately, but unfortunately, because of the way I present myself and the way I talk and the way I walk and everything, I always got the sense of like I was too much for Kenyan men.
Yeah, you're on Zungu.
Then why is she? If she's on Zungu, why is she too much for Kenyan men?
That's what she's saying.
No. It's not what I'm saying. It's what I felt. Like, it's what I felt, right? That I was too much of Kenyan men, right? Like I was too high energy, too opinionated, too loud, like too much.
And you feel these are the traits that we consider as too much,
that we don't like.
Let's just say
too much for Kenyan men.
Let's just say that, like, when I was a teenager, I was criticized for some of those traits by men in general, and it happened.
But now, having been with a Kenyan man, excuse me, do you feel those traits that you presented as a teenager still scares people from you?
No, I actually think that he loves me because of those traits, right? And like being in a relationship with him helped me realize that it was never me. It was those other guys. Like in the sense of like have you ever done like, you know, one of those, I wasn't gonna say that, but you said it, not me. Have you ever done like one of those you know those kids that do like those like you have to take a square shape and put it in the square hole in a star shape. Like it just felt like perhaps maybe I was a circle trying to match with a square and it just wasn't vibing, right? And now I'm a circle and I found my circle and we fit. I think
we don't blame anyone. I think that's life.
To each his own.
That's life. You get to learn on where you're supposed to be placed or where you're supposed to place yourself or where do you fit.
Yes.
You have to go through all this. If you're a circle, you have to go through.
You have to go through a square, everything.
Then finally come on.
Yeah, it was just like I just wish I had found somebody when I was a teenager to have corroborated my circleness.
No,
right?
I think it's nice so that you have experiences. You now learned
with the squares and the triangles that have made me believe that Kenyan men are trash.
But I thought we changed.
No, it's okay. Experiences.
Listen, have made me believe. Listen to the past tense. Have made me.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would like to thank Aileen for joining us, Manze. Thank you for gracing our podcast and for a second time now.
Third
actually. Third time, yeah. So thank you. Not taking for granted.
Yeah.
You'll come again.
Obviously.
With so many things to talk about as usual. Tell people about your podcast and where they can find it and subscribe.
Yeah, of course. So like my podcast is called HUJUI. We have been on a bit of a Christmas break while I figure out what to record in a couple of weeks.
Just say you went to Ghana and
forgot about
your fans.
No, hardly. Imagine, first of all, rude. Imagine, second of all, imagine when, because I usually do my podcast schedule for the episodes a year in advance, so I know what I'm researching before I go in. Because like while you guys like have conversational topics, me, I usually invite guests and we discuss like a piece of history, which means that like I need to sit down and do my research, right? And I've been trying to figure out like what works for me, what doesn't work for me, etc. And I've been really trying to vibe with my podcast. Really.
Come here, let's do this.
Yeah. So wait, would you guys be open to coming to my podcast where I read you a historical story.
Let's go. Let's go, man.
Alright, okay, cool.
What's your podcast again?
It's called UTAJUA, HUJUI.
Where can you get it?
You can find it everywhere you can get podcasts: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Google Podcasts. I'm even trying to do YouTube now.
Yeah, YouTube coming soon.
Yeah, so we're really gonna try to grow this year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kish, uploading schedule on
Please.
Again, thanks Aileen for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for these interesting conversations.
And opening up,
opening up. You've made Mwas
Open up as well. Thank you.
I didn't want to. Kenyan women, man. Kenyan women.
See, but here's the thing. I firmly believe that Kenyan women are the salt of this earth. Like some of my best enduring friendships are with Kenyan women.
I opened up to you because, like I told you, Kenyan men with love our Kenyan women. Kenyan men.
It's very interesting.
I was so open to you. I'm like, yeah, she's one of us. But if it was Kish or a Tanzanian here,
it's the same thing.
Tanzanian
Again, it's a proof that I don't know you anymore.
I don't know as much of me.
Thanks to
Aileen.
Perhaps your goal in 2023 would be to know your partner more.
Getting to know you more.
Podcast partner.
Yeah.
So thanks Aileen for joining us.
Thank you for
you're
having
welcome
me.
again by there.
And again and again.
And again and again.
Thank you.
We'd say we upload every Wednesday, 3 p.m. on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, and
Afropods.
Wherever you get your
Everywhere.
podcasts. Yeah.
No, just not Deezer right now, but everywhere else we are there.
Everywhere else we are there.
So tutamaliza tuseme NairoBEERN podcast. We talk as we can.
Talk as you want to.
See ya.
Bye.